All right, let's talk about the epi files, namely the big names that you probably know that are in the document.
So he got all of his equipment confiscated after he tried being the first IRL streamer out of Antarctica.
The World Anti-Doping Agency is now looking into claims that Olympic athletes are injecting hyaluronic acid into their penises to enlarge them for...
Welcome to another deep dive into the unknown. Today, we venture into the strange, the creepy, and the unexplainable videos from the web that'll leave you questioning everything. Get comfortable, but don't get too cozy, because you're about to witness the eerie side of reality. Ready for the show to start? Let's begin.
The World Anti-Doping Agency is now looking into claims that Olympic athletes are injecting hyaluronic acid into their penises to enlarge them for a competitive advantage. Yeah, and similar to the accused athletes, this is becoming a bigger and bigger scandal by the day. Because when this was first reported by a German newspaper last month, it was kind of laughed off because of how ridiculous this sounds. They allege that skiers who need to stay in the air for as long as possible were trying to find ways of being given a larger suit. Because, and I'm not kidding, quote, every centimeter on a suit counts. And perhaps because some of these men have heard that saying one too many times, it sparked an alleged bright idea. Get some hyaluronic acid, which is not illegal, can increase penis circumference by a centimeter or two, and can last up to 18 months. And then when it's time to get 3D measured, which is a very precise procedure, you'll be given a suit with a few extra centimeters around the crotch. But as I said, fairly, most people laugh this off. But now, after a formal complaint was lodged and the Winter Olympics is officially kicked off, the World Anti-Doping Agency is now looking into it. Which also begs the question, is this considered doping? And if so, how will you, excuse the pun, measure if someone is cheated or not? Good luck on that one.
Well, we are really starting of a weird note. We have to give it up to these athletes. They are really going an extra mile to win these trophies. I mean, why don't they just pay fair and the best person win? Let's continue.
All right, let's talk about the epi files, namely the big names that you probably know that are in the documents. Donald Trump, of course, in the documents. William Gates, aka Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jay-Z, Pusha T. And then we're going to talk about some dude named Howard that's named in the documents. You probably don't know him, but you will after this. But first, to understand all of this, what you have to know is the Department of Justice under Donald Trump had a problem. You see, United States Congress passed a law saying, y'all got to release those files. The Department of Justice said, all the files? Congress said, yeah. Did I stutter? So after a bunch of stalling, the Department of Justice said, okay, look, here's half the documents. And that's what you got. Those were the files that were recently released. 3 million pages out of 6 million pages. Congress said, didn't we say release all the documents? The Department of Justice excuse was they're trying to protect victims. I'm not even going to insult you with the Department of Justice reasons for not releasing the other half of the files. But let's just say Congress is apparently trying to get the rest of the files released. But in this half of the files, like we said earlier, you got some big names, starting with Elon. Now remember, Elon Musk said, I ain't never spoke to that dude Epstein. He tried to invite me to the island. I said, no. Donald Trump, though, y'all should check on him. Well, turns out in the files, there is email correspondence between Elon and Jeff Epps. Elon basically saying, yo, when can I fall through to the island? When can I pull up? Elon emailing him year after year. And this is after it came out that Jeff Epps was committing those heinous crimes. And I want you to take special note of that, because here's a side note. Jeff Epps, around 2005, that's when it came out that he was committing heinous acts. That's when you see a bunch of billionaires and politicians come out and say, oh, that's when I stopped talking to him. 2005, 2008, that's when I cut him off. But again, Elon hitting him up like 2012 saying, yo, it's Christmas time. Can I come to, Elon saying this, the wildest parties you got? What's the wildest parties you got? He said, me and my wife, his wife at the time, trying to pull up. And what's kind of embarrassing, when Elon last messaged Jeff Epps, Elon was like, yo, man, can't wait. Is the heli coming? Like, Jeff Epps responded to him saying, look, man, I'm not finna be at the island this year. Like, you can't come. I'm going to be in New York. Boy got rejected by a weirdo. Elon. tripping. And speaking of tripping, let's talk about William. I've been told y'all about William. So according to the files, Jeff Epps is basically like drafting an email to himself, detailing the stuff about William Gates, saying William Gates messes with Russian girls. He's stepping out on his wife with these Russian girls. And with these Russian girls, he got a disease, which he then gave to his wife. And now he wants Jeff Epps to give antibiotics to his wife secretly. And he said the whole time Bill Gates over here, tears in his eyes, trying to beg me this and that. Boy, stop it. If you could cry, you can walk to the bank. Because the only way I ain't telling nobody about this is if you give me a house. Jeff Epps, side note, loved him some blackmail. Now, mind you, Bill Gates denies all this stuff. Elon Musk denies this stuff. But it's kind of tough to deny because these are emails that the FBI acquired. Now, here's why I said that, because here's where things start to get wicked. What I just told you about Bill Gates and Elon Musk is regarding what they found in Jeffrey Epstein's emails. But Donald Trump, Pusha T, and Jay-Z, who we're about to talk about right now, they don't show up in emails. They show up in allegations. Basically, people coming out and saying, yo, I saw Donald Trump, Jay-Z, Pusha T doing this. I saw them when I went to this party and that party. Donald Trump shows up a lot. People detailing in graphic account what they were told to do with Donald Trump. People detailing the fact that Donald Trump had wild parties of his own. As for Pusha T and Jay-Z, it's a similar situation. But as far as we know, they show up one time in the files with one accuser saying 1994, she saw Jay-Z at a party. Harvey Weinstein was there and they both... And how they got to these parties in the first place is because of people like Pusha T, who the accuser called a handler. They go on to say Pusha T would give them stuff to make them really sleepy, and then they would wake up at these parties. Now, besides all the big names I mentioned to you, there are plenty of other names in these files. Many people in Donald Trump's inner circle, politicians alike. But there's one politician I want to highlight for you, and that's Howard Lutnick, your Secretary of Commerce. You see, he was Jeff Epps' next door neighbor. So a few years back, I guess he felt like he had to explain himself. So he goes on and does an interview. This is when it was all popping about Jeff Epps. He came out and said, look, all that stuff about Jeff Epps in the news, just because I was his neighbor, let me start by saying I got nothing to do with it. And when I tell you, he was being this boy should be an actor. Boy should get an Oscar, because he was furious that his name was even mentioned in the same sentence. He said, don't mention my name with that man. The interviewer said, you serious? He said, damn straight. He said, let me tell y'all something. I went over to introduce myself to Jeff Epps. Me and my wife was there. We knocked on the door. We said, hello. Boom. Jeff Epps opened the door. We said, hey. We saw a massage table in the middle of the room. That was weird. So we said, Jeff Epps, you like getting massages or something? Jeff Epps leans over and says, I love massages, but he was weird with it. Like, we thought it was weird, me and my wife. And then we said, okay, Jeff, we're going to leave. We looked at each other and we promised we would never be in the same room with Jeff Epps again. They found him in the files. They found our boy Howard in the files emailing Jeff Epps saying, when can I pull up? When can I pull up to the island? Matter of fact, dude's wife was emailing Jeff Epps too. Just in case you didn't get our last message, could we pull up? We finna bring our friends Mary and Matthew. They named them too. They said they trying to bring the whole fam. Can we pull up? I was guffawed when I tell you in his interview how passionate he was. And I said earlier he should win an Oscar, but honestly, maybe he was a little too passionate in the interview. Like he not Denzel, you know what I'm saying? Like you know when somebody puts on a little too much fire? That's what I felt like, my opinion, in the interview Howard was doing. So I wasn't surprised to see his name listed in those emails. So what comes next? Well, the crazy part to me is these were, again, half of the files. So the half that they didn't want to show you, ooh, it must be bad. And what it seems like is the Department of Justice is trying to say, look, we gave you half of the files. They're pretty big, right? So just leave us alone. I'm genuinely curious to know if that would work. It seems like people want it all. So let's just wait and see. Side note, if y'all remember, the FBI under Donald Trump came out earlier and said, there ain't no names on the file. Y'all just imagining things. There's no list. Well, we're here now. And it seems that there was a list. So somebody's lying. And to go further, just remember, files mean nothing if people aren't brought to justice. I'm curious to see what happens next. Like, there's this information, but if nobody is pursuing, no government organization is pursuing this information, then what do? We just look at the files, these people did all this, and then we just move on? Well, I think the American people are past that point, and I think I could speak for everyone when I say we demand justice. Now, this is just the first look over people have had over these documents. Remember, it's millions upon millions of pages. So when more information comes out, then I'll be sure to let you know.
Brace yourselves for these Epstein files. With all the documents in there, we are sure to have our jaws left dropped. Every day the truth is being revived on these files, and we are going to hear a lot. Let's continue.
Bro, I don't give a fuck, bro. They held me down and they made me watch little kids get raped. Bro, they fucking took me to the fucking woods, bro. And Bohemian Grove is real. They fucking tied me down and they made me fucking watch, dog. Yes, I fucking lost it. They're raping little kids.
2024, Ryan Garcia exposed everything we know now from the Epstein files. He went on live with a group of people and claimed that he was kidnapped and taken to Bohemian Grove, and that's where he saw men raping children and they made him watch. And if you have no idea what Bohemian Grove is, it's this private social club located in Monterey, California, where the elites go to do God knows what. For many years, they called it a conspiracy and said that this place was somewhere these men just hung out to drink, talk, network, do business, and it was all harmless. But in reality, this is where they were doing disturbing and disgusting things to children. Ryan has been very vocal about this, and he's even been threatened, but he said that children are being trafficked and sold to rich politicians. They're great. Satanic rituals are performed and babies are being eaten. And he isn't the only one saying this. Other people have described identical situations, like when this video was posted in 2013 where Tila Tequila talks about what she saw them do to kids.
You know, and they have lots of sex, child trafficking rings, and they even have their own churches, but they're very satanic churches, and they do abominations. You know, they sodomize each other. Children's lives were sacrificed. The children that are molested, because they often, you know, they were even like molesting 3-year-olds, and then they're asking me like, can we go even like lower, meaning like, can we have with a baby?
This sounds pretty familiar.
And I'm right there. My name is on this map. Pretty cool. It is rad to see this thing going viral all over Instagram and Twitter. This thing was made about 8 years ago. It could use some updating, but I actually met the creator of this map 8 years ago, right after he made this thing. Check it out. So this is Champ right here. Say hi, Champ.
Hello, everybody.
Hold up what you made.
This is the Great Awakening map. You will see this around. My name's not on here, but this is the only time you're gonna see me.
You're not so anonymous anymore. You just said awesome. That's awesome. And I'm about to hand out like 50 of these. See? Good work, Champ. We're definitely still seeing your map around. Good to see you still doing the great work after all these years.
As I said, this is going to be a wild one. I mean, people are waking up to the reality that has been happening right under our noses. Talk of even predictions from years ago. Man, this crazy. Let's continue.
Did you see what happened with Jake Paul and Joshua? Yes. You heard the dark theory?
Yeah.
People are saying that he was targeted to be assassinated.
Yes, fam.
Why? Because he didn't follow the script on the Jake Paul fight. Think about it, bro. All these people already think the Jake Paul fight is rigged. If you watch closely in all the Jake Paul fights, he does a signal with his tongue. That is the warning that he's going too much off script to chill out. So see how he does that tongue thing? So he wiggles his tongue because he wants him to chill out. Mike Tyson hit him hard, and then right away he puts his tongue out, right? Look what happens here. He puts his tongue out, mocking him because he's gonna go off script. And right after he does that, what happens? He gets his jaw broke. These big billionaires and millionaires that put money onto the fight, what if they put hundreds of millions of dollars into this, bro?
Yes, you're
and
right.
then what they wanted to do was take out Anthony Joshua for not sticking to the script, bro. And what just happened? Anthony Joshua was in a car accident and 2 of his best friends died.
Yeah. To be honest, it might be a warning because when they send off hits, they're probably not gonna get the guy right away. They have to seem like it's an accident.
I think straight up they were just trying to kill him. He just happened to survive. I think he was supposed to die there.
Word.
Yeah.
Come on now. We know this fight was rigged, and I know lots of money was lost on the fight. That's why they're here to mess him up. That's what allegedly will happen when they go off script. Shout out to Jumpers Jump Podcast. Let's continue.
Have you seen this video?
You said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win. Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined, I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing, this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
There's not going to be a President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen.
Donald Trump will never, ever be president of the United States. Trump should not be in this race. He's an absurdity. He is a travesty.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
He will never be president of the United States.
There is zero chance we'll be seeing you being sworn in on the Capitol steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
I say these words to you tonight. I am with you. I will fight for you. And I will win for you. One of the most important things, never, ever quit. That is a lie.
Well, we trust women.
I trust women also. And I will keep women safe.
Of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
She won't, because the millions pouring into the invasion of our country at our open border are destroying the lives of women and the families of African Americans and Hispanics. Close the border. She just called to give all illegals citizenship. Say goodbye to the USA.
Trump, on the other hand, threatened to abandon NATO.
NATO wasn't paying their bills. I saved NATO. She's complaining.
Has she said anything on China?
Has she mentioned fracking?
Kamala Harris is a threat to democracy.
She will take us into World War III and nuclear war.
She will take us into a nuclear World War III. So.
Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Oh, wow. She didn't mention China. She didn't mention fracking. She didn't mention energy. She didn't mention Russia and Ukraine, right?
50 to 60 million people in poverty in the United States right now, under their watch. They put these people in poverty. They're doing nothing about it, not even talking about it. Some of these people can't even eat.
There's 60 million people in poverty in the United States right now.
Under their watch.
And she doesn't even talk about that. I'm never going to make it to heaven. I just don't think I qualify. I don't think there's a thing I can do.
Interesting timing of A Bad Don's words, especially in light of the videos I've been making lately, and especially in light of him rededicating America as one nation under God. You know, God, which sounds exactly like God. God, which happens to be short for Gadriel, another name for Lucifer. You know, because Gadriel in the Book of Enoch was a fallen angel, the one responsible for deceiving Eve in the Garden of Eden. And just to catch those of you up that didn't see these videos, God, it also means reptile. And you know, Lucifer, he was a seraphim angel. Seraphim angels, which are strongly linked to serpents and reptiles. So the guy who I have literally been saying for years now is Lucifer in the flesh, is saying that we should dedicate ourselves as one nation under God. You know, he has another name in the Bible too, and it's Abaddon. You know, they had a king over them who was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew was A-Bad-Don. Oh, and it just happens to come from Revelation 9:11. 9, do you know what that is? It's 4 plus 5. He was the 45th president. And 11, it's 4 plus 7. He was the 47th president. And what did he say again?
Much different than that, but I said, I'm never going to make it to heaven. I just don't think I qualify.
Oh, I wonder why he doesn't qualify. Maybe because he's been banished down here with the rest of the fallen angels for wanting to be worshipped higher than the Most High. And guess what? That's what's going on, because a lot of you still worship this man who tells you who he is. They always tell us who they are. That's an actual statue of Lucifer. And well, Lucifer, the light bearer, is actually the Statue of Liberty, if you don't know that yet. And that's a funny painting he has in the house that is white. Interesting pose there, too. Oh, and these are all real photos. Do you think that's unintentional? But of course, all this is for entertainment purposes. I'm sure that A Bad Don really means the Heavenly Father when he says Gad. He's not at all referring to himself, who is Lucifer, who is Gadriel, who is A Bad Don, the angel of the bottomless pit, who is here deceiving us all right now during his little short season. Entertainment only, though, people. I'm a satire account. You should know that by now.
Much different than it, but I said, I'm never going to make it to heaven. I just don't think I qualify. I don't think there's a thing I can do, but all of these good things I'm doing, including for religion, you know, religion's back now hotter than ever before. I mean, I have to tell you.
We have to look out for Trump. I mean, the guy's making headlines every day. But all in all, whatever happens, I wish y'all safety wherever you are and hope everything turns out great. Leave a like if you are enjoying the video. Let's continue.
You have to hear what Putin just said at this big gallery interview presentation thing. I can't believe some of the things, like, are we about to go to war with Russia? Because I think we might have a decent amount in friggin' common with them. And I don't know if our media is really giving us the full story about this whole thing. So check this out.
Ведут против нас все более агрессивные информационные атаки. Целью выбирают прежде всего, конечно, молодых людей, молодые поколения. И здесь опять лгут постоянно, извращают исторические факты, не прекращают нападки на нашу культуру, на русскую православную церковь, другие традиционные религиозные организации нашей страны. Посмотрите, что они делают со своими собственными народами. Разрушение семьи, культурной и национальной идентичности, извращение, издевательство. Что здесь хочется сказать? Взрослые люди имеют право жить, как хотят. Мы к этому так и относились в России, и всегда к этому будем так относиться. Никто в частную жизнь не вторгается, и мы не собираемся этого делать. Но хочется им сказать, посмотрите, извините меня, священное писание, главные книги всех других мировых религий. Там все сказано. В том числе то, что семья – это союз мужчины и женщины. Но и эти...
You know, it really is interesting. I mean, who do we trust here? When you have such polar opposites saying, like, this is the guy who bans GMOs for Russia, whereas our countries ban GMO labeling. In other words, they lobbied to make sure you didn't know you're eating GMOs, like the labels, right? Like, that's a big deal. Imagine if Volvo or GM paid millions and millions of dollars to make sure that their logo wasn't on their car so you didn't know you were driving it. And the excuse from Monsanto was the public doesn't understand the science, and therefore if they read the word GMO on their food, they wouldn't buy it because they don't understand the science of how GMOs are so safe, and they'd be foolishly not wanting to eat it. Like, so in other words, they kind of think you're a bit of a silly Billy. Too silly to make your own decisions, so they would keep and withhold that information from you. I mean, that is just so weird. So who's right? Should we be eating more GMOs over here? Or, like, you got to wonder, when Europe has all this crazy stuff banned, but over here it's allowed. And we also look at different ailment rates, and we know that over here. Now, if you made it this far, I should say that there's a whole lot more I'm going to be posting, but I do want to mention that right now Chalk is giving away free bags of the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia. This is the Chalk Lit Powder. Super detoxing, freaking delicious. And if you combine that with the hot water purified shilajit or the ashwagandha, you're getting some of the most potent superfoods in the natural world. I'm talking fertility, brain function, hormones, energy levels, cognition, and your pineal gland. Comment free below and check your DMs for details.
Always keep an eye out for these international news because, like or not, it's going to affect you one way or the other. Shout out to him and hope everything is great with the fam up in Russia. Let's continue.
In the 1930s, the Rothschild-Rockefeller Alliance, they began funding scientific studies to look at how musical frequencies can prepare the masses for war. And that's because they wanted to control people. They want that mind control programming. And so in 1938, there was a gentleman named Harold Brosmeyer, and he was a theatrical designer and a sound engineer. And he began developing techniques that would control the emotional response of audiences and to create mass hysteria. And so from there, you have this, this Rockefeller Rothschild alliance. Not only were they looking at ways to steer the masses, but they wanted to change the standard tuning of A to 440 hertz. So in 1939, they began funding Joseph Goebbels, who was the Nazi propagandist. And at that time, Joseph Goebbels, he wanted to change the standard tuning of A. And so he organized a meeting in London to do that. Now, up until that time, the standard tuning of A was set at 435 hertz, and that was from a conference in Vienna in 1889. But they wanted to shift it to 440 hertz. And so Radio Berlin approached the British Standard Association and asked if they would organize this conference in London, which was a total setup in which, the powers that be had control of what the outcome was going to be. And they didn't invite any of the French musicians because they were opposed to 440 hertz. And then the organizers of the conference, they interviewed the musicians, the instrument makers, the physicists, and then also the sound engineers. And if any of those people were against 440 hertz, then they weren't invited to the conference. So it was all controlled. And, as a result, it's not surprising that the standard tuning of A was changed to 440 hertz. And that happened June 1939, just months before World War II broke out. And the timing of that is no coincidence because 440 hertz is a destructive frequency. And that, it can retrain our thoughts towards disharmony, disruption, and disunity.
When I stopped listening to music altogether, I got powerful discernment. The initial reasons I stopped listening to music altogether was because I learned about frequencies, cymatics, backtracking, spellcasting, and those types of things. I used to be addicted to music, hours a day of music. Music literally programs us in a way that's beyond our understanding. It's not just the words. The beat does it, the frequencies. A lot of people say they listen to their music in 432. I don't know if 432 is actually better for you. I don't have any real proof of that, so I don't even want to risk that. Even down to the sound effects, the beep boop bops that they add over the top, those oftentimes have meaning or specific frequencies. A lot of music has sounds from rituals, really dark stuff blended into them to cast spells. Cardi B is a big one, and I used to love Cardi B, but I learned about this one song. I went and looked at the song and I slowed it down and you could hear it. You could hear super disturbing noises. Another one is J. Cole's She Knows. He's sampling this track by this band that is using sounds from the Jonestown Massacre. And then there's the backtracking. They're putting stuff backwards in the lyrics so that they're subconsciously programming us. We don't realize it's not always as simple as well, I can ignore the lyrics. Sure, you can, but your subconscious mind is one of the most powerful parts of your mind. So that's picking up on it regardless. Look up a cymatics plate. It's a metal plate and it has sand on it. And they'll play songs around it, and the sand makes different patterns. That's exactly what music does to our cells and our bodies. I used to be a horror movie fanatic, and I learned that the most important thing to make a movie extremely scary is the soundtrack. That's why if you're watching a scary movie and you get too scared, you're supposed to cover your ears, not your eyes, because it's not the visuals that are scaring you, it's the sound. They're sending frequencies that heighten your anxiety and make your nervous system shoot up and your adrenal glands. It's not as simple as oh, music makes you act ratchet or something like that. It's a lot deeper than that. They can and do program us to be high anxiety, to be depressed, to be stressed, to be angry. All of the bad emotions, they program that into the music. And it makes sense, right? Because Lucifer was the angel of music. And look at everything that the music industry does.
This goes to all y'all love music. I know we are in there. Who doesn't like listening to some good vibes? Only thing I can say is always be conscious of the music you listen to, because some music can be used against you, so be careful, fam.
So he got all of his equipment confiscated after he tried being the first IRL streamer out of Antarctica. Just 1 hour after he started live streaming in Antarctica, he has his Starlink taken away and is told that he can't get it back until he leaves the continent. His Starlink is what allows him to live stream from virtually anywhere on Earth. Now, the community notes are saying that it was just the cruise ship policy, that they don't allow Starlinks on board because they want you to pay for their internet or whatever, which sure is true because he was on a cruise ship at the time, but in the video you can hear him getting told that he can't get it back even when he goes on land.
Yeah, okay, it's confiscated, you'll receive it on the way back. You can't use it on the land? You can't use it on the land? No.
And then he posted this video saying this is what he saw before they took away his Starlink. Some sort of massive wall of ice with a cave entrance going into something. Antarctica is the most gate-kept landmass on the entire planet, and we occasionally get glimpses of what people who went there claim they saw. Like that time Mr. Beast, who did a whole video in Antarctica, let it slip on a live stream of what he claimed he saw there and got really nervous after.
Have you ever been to Antarctica? Yeah. Do you believe in the ice wall? Yeah, I saw the ice wall. Yeah, you saw it too. I can't say on stream. No way, but we'll talk about it later. That's crazy. He almost leaked it. Let's just say you always need someone with you when you're in Antarctica.
Here's another clip of Neon, who claims that Mr. Beast told him something about Antarctica, but it's Neon, so take it with a grain of salt.
No, but you know what's crazy, bro? I kid you not. Chat, is it not possible to time travel? In Antarctica, they have portals. That's cap. Okay. Well, okay, how do you know? Huh? Like, okay, I know. Why? Trust me. Okay, but why? Trust me. You've been to Antarctica? No, I just know. I'm telling you right now, don't ask questions. There are portals in this world.
Last year, this guy, Ethan Guo, tried flying over every continent on Earth and got detained in Antarctica for 3 months after he flew over a tiny little island down there, possibly getting debriefed and being told that he didn't see anything down there. There's this whistleblower, Eric J. Hecker, a former contractor for the government, claiming they're experimenting with high-tech weaponry down there.
In 2010, I was selected to go down to the South Pole Station in Antarctica for an entire year by Raytheon Polar Services as an employee of a third-party contractor for the National Science Foundation. The technology at the South Pole Station certainly can do what it is presented as its primary purposes, and unfortunately, much more. Unfortunately, when they first fired it up, that was when we had the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand. There was 2 incidental shots before they were able to target it correctly. This is an earthquake-generating device as well.
This encyclopedia from 1958 that talks about a 13,000-foot-high ice dome in Antarctica. And finally, there's this speech by Admiral Richard Byrd, the OG granddaddy whistleblower of Antarctica.
Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Well, Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do. I think year after year, bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
So is everyone just in on some massive joke, or is there something in Antarctica that they're purposely hiding from the rest of us?
Man, what they hiding up in Antarctica's in the ice wall? I mean, there are so much we do not know about the place, and information about the place is well hidden. Would like to go up in there for a crazy adventure? Tell us in the comments.
Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, he flew 1,200 miles with the wind in his back into the inside of this planet. Not a molten core, far from it. Continental shells bigger than on the surface, seas that were equal to ours, and he took 300 photographs and brought them back, and I tried to see them, and Franklin Birch, who was at the National Archives, would not let me in. Oh, I got in the cage, but I couldn't look at anything. Caldwell found those records and read them in 1940, and he took his round-wing plane in and went right through the Earth and came out at the South Pole in a 125-mile opening there. That's one thing he did. I told you that was 1940. That was a great accomplishment of the round-wing plane at that point. We hadn't had to fight a war, we hadn't had to do anything. 1952, I hesitate to tell you. I've had 3 attempts on my life, and I don't know if I'll walk away from this meeting if I say any more. I've had the needle, I've been poisoned, and I've had people sent to kill me.
Avatar was not only a movie, it was a story about how they destroyed one of the biggest trees that had belonged to this realm. And this is exactly why we see so many rocks that look like the tree stumps. It's because they actually were. Look at this one from 1899, and there are so many more that I can get you the picture of, but the point is that Avatar was not just a film, it was a story, and they throw it in our faces. And even in the Bible, Daniel, he talks about trees going up to the heavens, the firmament. If you really think these rocks were just rocks, you need to think again. Maybe this is another reason they don't allow us to explore the North Pole.
There's so much we do not know about our planet we live in day in, day out, and it's crazy. Shout out to the whistleblowers and creators out there trying to awaken us. I bet even what is shown to us in them movies have some truth to it. You be the judge.
If you are seeing this video on your timeline, do not click off of this video. Stay until the end of this video. I have a message for you. So, chosen ones, you understand that you are under mad surveillance, chosen ones. You have the whole community watching you, stalking you, paying attention to your every move. Chosen ones, this did not just start. Chosen ones, this been happening since you was a baby. Before you even came into the womb, your attackers knew exactly who you was. And when I mean by attackers, I mean the government, the feds, the CIA, the FBI, they all know exactly who you are. You are most likely an earth angel. You are a star seed, okay? Whenever you came into this realm, the Most High God, He sent you down here to complete a mission, okay? And your attackers know that you have a mission here, okay? They know that He sent you here for a reason, to complete something, right? That's why they put you in a family that's not your real family, chosen ones. You got put in a family that all teamed up and went against you, chosen ones. And because you understand what's going on, and that you understand that this is a simulation, and that this is the Matrix, and that your attackers knew exactly what family to put you in, all right, with NPCs, because they knew you was going to be the one to break the generational curses off of your bloodline, all right? That's why every time you try and do something positive, chosen ones, you have all these distractions happening, right? Pay attention. It's not happening for no reason. It's happening because you have a mission here. And there's a lot of people on this planet that don't have a mission, okay? Not everybody that you see is real. Not everybody that you're around is your real soul tribe, okay? You have to find your soul tribe. How do you find your soul tribe? By searching for it, okay? Whenever you fully activate and whenever you finally get into your calling, you are going to find your soul tribe. You are going to find the right people that's meant to be around you, like your real family, chosen ones. Chosen ones, if this message resonates or resonate with you, comment down 777 down below. All right, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Peace.
All right, Keem, can you explain to us how you would know if you were one of the chosen ones?
All right, let me speak this straight from the soul. How do you know if you're one of the chosen ones? You don't get a letter in the mail. There's no ceremony, no angel shows up at your door, but you feel it deep down, like your bones been whispering to you since the womb. Here's how you know. One, you don't fit in, and you never have. You could be in a room full of people and still feel like you're on the outside looking in. Even your own family feels distant, like they don't get you. That's because they're not meant to get you. The chosen ones don't come here to blend in. They come here to stand out, to disrupt, too. Your mind works differently. You question everything. You were the kid who asked, but why? Over and over. You never bought into the system. School didn't make sense. Clocking into some 9 to 5 like a robot, that made your skin crawl. You always knew there was something more, you just couldn't prove it yet. You've been broken, but not destroyed. Chosen ones go through hell early. Addiction, abuse, abandonment, betrayal. You've lost people you loved. You've faced demons people couldn't imagine, but here's the thing. You didn't just survive. You transformed. Pain didn't poison you, it purified you. Wolfworth, you trigger people without trying. People either love you, or they can't stand you. You walk in a room and the energy shifts. That's because your light exposes their shadows. Your very presence challenges their comfort zone. You don't even have to say anything. You are the message. 5, you've always felt like you're being watched or protected. This one's deep. Like there's something or someone watching over you. You should have been dead. You should have been locked up forever. You should have lost your mind. But you didn't. Somehow, some way, you got pulled out of the darkness every single time. That's not luck. That's divine protection. You can't fake it anymore. Every time you try to play normal, the universe smacks you. Jobs fall through. Relationships blow up. That fake version of you starts crumbling. That's the calling getting louder. Because chosen ones aren't allowed to settle. You're here for a reason, and your soul won't let you forget that. Your mission is bigger than you. You're not just here to survive and lack. You're here to break cycles, to wake people up, to lead, heal, build, teach, or guide. You know it. You've always known it. And the longer you ignore it, the louder life starts screaming. Final word. If any of this hit your chest like a truth bomb, if you read this and felt like I was describing you, then I'm not here to convince you you're chosen. I'm just here to remind you of what you already know.
It requires 8% of the population on the planet to assemble the 5th DNA strand and be able to hold 5th dimensional frequencies in their body in order for Earth to be able to merge properly with Terra during this time cycle. We're not quite up to that yet, but we're close. So one of the things they're asking us to do is learn about our DNA, learn how to use the higher chakras to bring high frequency energy into the DNA, which helps it assemble. Because the higher you can get your DNA in your body and your consciousness vibrating, you're plugged right into the Earth grid. It will make the Earth grid vibrate faster. There's strength in numbers. The more of us that can do this, the faster the Earth grid will vibrate. So it's one of the things they're asking us to do. If the majority of humans totally ignore this grand opportunity we're being presented with, there are 2 worst case scenarios. One is we do start to enter the morphogenetic wave period, and the grids are so far out of balance that it starts to make seals on the Earth's vortexes loosen, which will cause volcanic activity and it will cause plate shifting. And it could be on a massive level. If it's really out of balance, it can create up to a 45-degree shift of the angle of the Earth spinning on its axis, which we're history if that happens. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. It's not that bad yet. But they want us to be aware of how bad it could be. They want us to be aware that they're not joking. They're not saying, oh gee, come be spiritual because it's fun. They're saying, hello, you're in trouble if you don't pay attention. And how many of us is it going to take to get you to pay attention? You know, so one of the neat things that happens if things go right is that during the 5-year period when the wave is cresting, the 5th strand of DNA will manifest spontaneously within the bioenergetic field of every person on the planet. And right now, we have people with all sorts of different gene codes on the planet. Some have 4th DNA strand assembled, but some only have 2. Now, when you look and you say, hey, I have 2 DNA strands, you know, we see that under a microscope. The other 2 are in your double. Most of us have 4 strands here. And the strands are not that easily divided up. We're okay, once I have my 12-strand package, I'm going to see 12 little strands or 6 double helixes. They're all encoded through each other. But basically, the human being was designed to have 12 strands of DNA. And when we do have that fully activated, we are immortal. And we live in harmonic universe too.
Y'all know we have to dive into some spirality and also get to learn a thing or two up in there, or today's segment on spiritually, way really interesting and inspirational. Always nice to get to know about the matrix and the unseen. Let's proceed.
This could be the creepiest evidence of time travel ever found. In 1968 in Boston, workers repairing old sewage tunnels uncovered a sealed brick chamber. Inside, they found something shocking, a passport. But the issue date was 2035. The passport belonged to a man named Thomas Hale. But according to official records, he had vanished without a trace in 1999. 10 years later, in 1978, another item appeared in the same tunnels. A photograph of Boston's skyline. The strange part? Several skyscrapers in the photo wouldn't be built until decades later. On the back of the photo was a handwritten message. Don't look for me. The loop has no exit. In 2004, city archivists uncovered a box of files hidden in City Hall's basement. Inside was Hale's journal, describing a government project called the Boston Gate, an attempt to stabilize a time rift beneath the city. But the most terrifying discovery came in 2020. Explorers sneaking through the abandoned tunnels found a skeleton in tattered clothes. In its pocket was that same passport, now burned along the edges. Tucked inside was a final note, written in shaky handwriting. I've seen the future. No one survives it.
Just an awesome piece of film. Watch.
I see a lot of new faces. Shut up! Which means a lot of you have been breaking the first 2 rules of Fight Club. Man, I see in Fight Club the strongest and smartest men who've ever lived. I see all this potential, and I see it squandered. God damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. And we're very, very pissed off.
So did you see it? Fight Club, it wasn't about fighting. It was actually about waking up. Pain pulled these men out of the numbness of the system they'd found themselves trapped in. Blood, the challenge, brought them back into their own physical bodies. For the first time, they actually felt alive. But then it grew. It organized. Rules, uniforms, and chants. And the thing they actually designed to set themselves free just became another cage. Here's the truth that most people avoid though. Humans don't actually crave freedom. They crave belonging with deeper meaning. So we escape one system only to rebuild another. Same addiction, just a new package. Understanding this, the pursuit of comfort is the aggressive pursuit of aging. Comfort dulls your sensation, it shrinks your curiosity, and it numbs your desire to grow. This is the whole human pursuit in 60 seconds in one clip. And just like in Fight Club, if you don't consciously integrate your shadow, it will run your life unconsciously and call itself the truth. But you've got to stop trying to change the game and simply adapt the player. Finally, freedom, it isn't comfort. Freedom is actually awareness. Now, if you've loved this clip, click a follow, and remember, live life inspired.
There is not a single person on the planet that hasn't driven on this road. You know it, obviously, as Flynn Creek Road in Tennessee. Maybe in one of the countless times you've driven down it, you've noticed this sign, the only indication that this road passes through something almost invisible and very strange. That being the remains of an ancient meteor crater. It's known as the Flynn Creek Crater, and it's about 2.5 miles across and almost 500 feet deep. It was formed 360 million years ago. At the time, this area was a vast, shallow sea, teeming with all sorts of scary Ordovician nightmare creatures like this. On some really bad day, a meteor about 150 feet in diameter entered Earth's atmosphere. For reference, that diameter is about the length of one of the gas pumps at this nearby Buc-ee's. It hit this shallow sea, moving at close to 15 miles per second. It landed on a layer of limestone covered in about a mile of sediment and about 50 feet of water. The force of the impact was so great that the ground itself acted like a plastic and the middle rebounded like a splash, creating what's known as a complex crater, one of these ones with a mountain in the middle. The ocean rushed back in, cooling the site, and rather rapidly it became buried in more sediment. So even though it doesn't really look like much, this is actually one of the best preserved impact structures we have of this age. If you go there today, there are signs of this cataclysmic impact if you know where to look. There's little things like shatter cones, rock that breaks in a unique pattern from a colossal impact. Much more interestingly, this stuff, breccia. Kinda just looks like cement, but what you're looking at here is pieces of ocean floor that shattered and liquefied. Then when the ocean rushed back into the crater, it cooled, creating this rock. Without knowing that, it would be easy to just look at this and see it as a rock. With that backstory, this rock is so much more. The result of forces so colossal, I can barely wrap my head around it. I just offered you a brief respite from the nightmare of your newsfeed doom scroll. Sauce me a follow so we don't lose each other. Send this to a friend that you want to take on Flynn's Creek Road.
And that's a wrap for today's journey into the strange and unsettling. Thank you for watching and stepping into the unknown with us. If these creepy, mind-bending videos left you wanting more, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Got a favorite moment? Or maybe a clip you want to see in the next one? Drop a comment below. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and always be ready for the unexpected. We'll see you soon, right here at the spot, where the weird and wonderful never stops. See y'all in the next one. Peace.